What is going on, everybody? In this series of videos, we're going to be talking about the various aspects of photography that many beginners or the average consumer may find intimidating or difficult to understand. The videos will consist of tips and tricks, as well as valuable knowledge if you're looking to start making your own videos or just get into photography in itself. In this video, we're going to be talking about whether or not it's possible to make professional style videos using your smartphone. The two phones we'll be using are the iPhone SE as well as the Nexus 6P. Not by any means the latest or greatest, but definitely still very capable. Let's get right into it. Now, every photo or video you take consists of blacks and whites, which makes up your dynamic range. We'll get further into dynamic range in a separate video, but for now, if you have your camera in automatic mode, what your camera will always try to do is get an exposure standard of 18% gray in every shot that you take. Now, what does that mean? So, if you're in a very brightly lit situation, your camera will try and dial down the exposure by introducing more blacks to get that 18% gray. And if you're in a lowly lit situation, your camera will try and do the opposite. Since we've got a whole lot of blacks, it will try and bring in more whites to get that 18% gray. Now, in film, we obviously do not want that to happen, and here's why. This is a video I took in my backyard, the Nexus 6Ps first. Notice how the camera lowers the exposure dramatically from the low-lit trunk of this plant to brightly lit sun. This change causes the sun to appear as if it's getting smaller. Again, lowly lit trunk, brightly lit sun. The exact same thing can be observed with the iPhone, even though it's less noticeable. Here's the same shot taken on the iPhone SE. Now, I have 3 pictures taken on a larger camera to further demonstrate what your camera does in automatic mode. These are 3 pictures of some flowers in my driveway. In one of them, there is a black card in the frame, and in the other, there is a white card of similar size. This is the first picture of the flowers alone. The camera does a brilliant job in getting the right exposure for everything in the frame. I can say that's pretty much what the flowers looked like when I shot them. On the right is the same photo taken with the black card in frame as mentioned before. When you take a closer look, the camera has dialed up the exposure to try and compensate for the black, but in doing so, it has completely blown up the highlights of the flowers, losing a lot of detail. In the last picture, the same photo is taken again, only this time with a white card in frame. Notice how the camera gets confused again and sees the white as a need to lower the exposure. The result is that the flowers end up being completely underexposed. This affects video in the exact same way. This is a video I shot on a much larger SLR type camera, but the concept still applies. At first, the wood and the wallet are relatively well exposed. When the white sheet of paper is put in frame, the camera completely underexposes the shot. The 2 navy blue strips on the wallet now appear to be black. And finally, when the black tablet is brought in, the entire shot gets slightly overexposed, making the colors noticeably washed out. What I'm getting at here is that your camera does not know that the black or white cards are actually well exposed even though they are appearing very dark or intensively lit in comparison to everything else in the frame. All your camera sees are the blacks and whites. So it will almost always get this wrong. The resulting video you get will have underexposed skin tones when your subject is wearing white or overexposed face tones when your subject is wearing black. Tackling this problem on a smartphone camera is generally not easy because of the lack of complete manual controls. On the Nexus and many other Android phones, you'll have to get a third-party app called Cinema FV5. It costs $3. In it, you'll be able to change a plethora of manual controls, including white balance and exposure compensation. To stop the camera from constantly correcting for focus and exposure, just touch and hold onto the spot in the frame you want the focus and exposure to be fixed for. iPhone users are in luck because no third-party camera app is required. In the stock camera app, tap and hold onto the part in the frame you want exposure and focus to be fixed for until it says AEAF lock at the top of the screen. And that's pretty much it. If you're going to be shooting on the move, there's not much you're going to be able to do in terms of stabilization besides doing it through software or getting yourself a 3-axis smartphone gimbal like DJI's Osmo. Here are a couple of shots I took using these simple tricks. As you can see, with those very simple tips and tricks, you can be making some very professional looking video using just your smartphone. Now, for obvious reasons, your smartphone will not replace a dedicated camera, but given just how small these devices have gotten in recent times, the video quality you're able to squeeze out of them is very impressive. Once again, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the video. It's important to note that for shooting of informal type videos like vlogs and personal videos, shooting in automatic mode is generally fine. However, if you're looking to squeeze out the most quality out of your smartphone camera, this is definitely a step in the right direction.